Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello and welcome to the 21st episode of the Extreme Sports Performance podcast. My name's Ryan Blake, I'm the founder and CEO of Extreme Sports Performance. In this episode I'm speaking to Netani Talei. Netani is an ex-professional international rugby player and currently a strength and conditioning coach. In this episode I ask him the questions I ask all my guests. Who he is, what he does, where's he come from and what has he done along the way. What are the key moments from his career so far? What are his top areas of interest? What are the most valuable things he's learnt? Who are his top influences? What are his top resources for information? What are his top sports performance exercises or drills? What are his top pieces of advice in life, exercise and sport? And finally, where can people find him? We freestyle a lot in between questions as normal. Love doing this episode with Netani. Hope you enjoy listening to it. Here we go. Netani, thanks for joining us on the Extreme Sports Performance podcast today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Could you just tell us who you are and what you do?
Netani Talei, Fijian heritage, grew up in Fiji, ex-professional rugby player, retired 2 years ago. Now into the fitness industry, strength and conditioning, personal training. Yeah, that's about it at the moment.
Okay, sweet. And could you just give us a little bit more of a background on your rugby career? So, when did you start playing? Where did you start playing? Who have you played for? And why did you stop?
Well, I get asked this question a lot. So basically, I was probably the most least talented rugby player growing up. My sport growing up was I was a middle distance runner, 3,000 meters, 1,500 meters. The only reason I did that just because I didn't think I was going to be big enough as a rugby player. But then, you know, going back to a suburb where every day people are just playing rugby, I tried to get involved, but still wasn't too big. So. Rugby came about when, they were looking for a fly half, and that was my first position ever to play. Fly half because I was the most scrawniest kid on the block. My job was to just catch the ball, pass the ball, kick the goals. Simple. Somehow I got the hang of it. I kind of like fell in love with it. Gave up running altogether to focus on rugby. Started focusing on rugby, got my first scholarship at 18 to go to Wesley College in New Zealand. Spent 2 years there, got my first academy contract with Manukau. Did it for a year, didn't really like it because back then as an academy player you had to work, so they gave you jobs. I was waking up at 6 o'clock every morning pruning pine trees. No matter what time of the day, 6 degrees in the morning, you're up, getting ready to go prune pine trees, and you do that from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Straight off the back of that, they drop you off at the training ground, straight into training. So I didn't really enjoy that, so I went back home to Fiji, played some club rugby, got my first break playing sevens. So Wesley College picked me to play my first sevens tournament. So I played Singapore, Hong Kong, and Paris and Twickenham. Didn't really like sevens, to be honest, because my skill set wasn't the best. because all they wanted was a ball carrier, and they were like, right, all you have to do is take the ball, get us yards, and we'll do the rest. And it got a bit frustrating for me because all the other boys were doing offloads, they were doing backhand passes, they were doing footwork, but yet there was me, just get the ball, run as hard as you can, simple. So I got bored of that I know. So came away from that, went back to 15s, back in Fiji, got my first call up straight off the back of sevens. Wayne Pivac selected me into the 2005 World Cup training squad. Didn't really make the squad at the end of it, but was just happy to get selected. 2006 got my first selection, played my first international game. Got a contract to play for Doncaster for a year. And then from Doncaster got cited by Worcester Warriors. Spent 3 years with Worcester Warriors. From Worcester Warriors went to Edinburgh Rugby for 3 years. Edinburgh Rugby, then moved to Newport Dragons for a year and a half. After Newport Dragons got signed by Harlequins for 3 years. Unfortunately, was cut short by a major injury, so I was rehabbing for the next 2 years of those 3 years.
What was the injury?
I did my ACL, MCL, and meniscus. So it's a full reconstruction, yeah.
And that was career ending?
It was career ending, yeah, unfortunately.
And was there anything you feel that you could have done to control that, or was that out of your control?
That was out of my control. I think, I don't really know if it was, there was factors that have contributed to it. So it was just straight off the back of the Rugby World Cup, 2015. We finished our last game against Uruguay on the Thursday. I travelled back home on the Friday, and I was selected to play for the A-League guys on the Monday because they wanted me to play the weekend after. So my body was on shutdown base. I didn't feel like I was ready to play, but because I felt like I didn't want to let my teammates down. So I ended up playing, and it was probably the worst decision. Even my coach then, Connor, was like, I shouldn't have played you, I should have rested you, but that was a few days too late. So, I think if I had taken the rest, it would have made a massive difference because of overall.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
My body by then, going from playing for Harlequins back from the back season, played 8 straight games, then to Fiji for like 3 months of just grueling training, to the World Cup, then not to get a rest. I think that could be a contributing factor. But end of the day, I was 32. That was the biggest injury of my career, and I was blessed to be able to get to 32. I see boys at 21, getting an ACL and not making it back. So I think I was fortunate, and I'm grateful for that opportunity as well.
Amazing story. So that's quite an extensive career, and you played rugby for a long time at all of the levels you could play it at. What would you say if you could choose the key moments were from that timeline? Were there anything that really stands out for you that was the best part or the best parts?
I think it's just basically buying into what I wanted to achieve. Like I said earlier on, I wasn't the most gifted rugby player, but I wanted it so much. And I know a lot of boys who are way talented than me. I know I can count with my hands and toes, my fingers and toes, that I know the players who never train. They just show up, tick the boxes, play on a Saturday, squad tries left, right, and centre. But the career isn't that long enough because they don't take into consideration the components of staying fit, your strength training, and I think I took that on board, and it made me a better person.
Yeah.
You know, and playing rugby for 80 minutes, those talented boys will only last probably the first 40 minutes. You know, and for me, my fitness took me through, and I developed my skills later on in life.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the major component of it. Secondly, is paying attention to my body. You know, when I was getting injuries constantly, I was like, I took a step back and said, why am I getting this? So I just fixed up my diet, fixed up my recovery methods. So I started doing yoga 7 years ago, and I think that's helped a lot. You know, and I've done a lot of meditation as well, just for my mental state, and basically just, you know, spending time with people that actually value your time, and people that will do anything for you. If anything goes wrong, they're there by the flick of a finger to help you out and see how you're doing. Those people will kind of like encourage you and motivate you to become the best person you can ever be.
Amazing. That's really interesting. I think having that network around you of friends, family, loved ones, like he can be there for you no matter what the problem, what the time is important for anyone, not just athletes.
I agree. Yeah.
You may have alluded to this in what we've just spoke about, but like, what would you say is, you can answer this as a rugby player or as now as a coach, your kind of top areas of interest are in terms of kind of the body or sports science?
For me, at the moment, I'm progressively learning. Like, I take on board, like, there's no rights and wrongs. You know, people have different methods of coaching, understanding of relaying messages. It's what you want to get out of it. You know, I go to seminars, I do courses every probably third or second weekends, just to see what I can learn. You know, it might be of no interest to me or be of no use to my coaching, but later on in life it could teach me something. You know, at the moment I'm more interested in training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. It's just taking a step away from rugby and just trying to evolve more understanding into Jiu-Jitsu, which kind of like relates back to rugby. Because I miss rugby, but I'm just trying to step away from rugby and find something more in the same direction, the same movement. You know, but it's all done on the floor and on the mats. But I think the aggression is just amazing. You know, and the energy takes its toll. After 1 hour on the mat, you feel like you don't want to move the next day. I've gone into weightlifting, so I've done a few camps, you know, Russia, China, Bulgaria. It's always been one of my interests, because it's just amazing how people could shift such weight. You know, 80 kgs shifting a snatch at 140, a clean at 200 kgs. It's just amazing how the body can be performed in that, you know, extent. Saying that, with my rugby background, now everyone's into CrossFit. I'm looking at competing. So at the moment, I'm just getting my body physically, mentally, psychologically ready for it. I could actually start, you know, doing all these small competitions now. But for me, as an ex-rugby player and with all the injuries, I'm very conscious of my body. I want to be right, fully fit, mentally, physically, spiritually as well. I don't want to just like, oh, everyone's doing it, I jump into it and then get injured, because I've seen a lot of boys who go straight into CrossFit, 3 months later competing, injure themselves, and it's a slow process for them. For me, I'm aware, because I've had operations to my ankles, to my knees, to my shoulders, to my wrists. You know, I've had concussion. So for me as an ex-athlete, I'm very aware of these things, and it's a very patience game for me.
Yeah, sure.
I will get there, but at my own time,
not
what I see on social media. You know, it urges me to compete, because I'm just like, you know, waiting to go, but the right time will come, and I'm hoping next year. So that is my main areas of focus at the moment, is, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, weightlifting and CrossFit.
What's the appeal to you as an ex-rugby player? What's the appeal of CrossFit? What's the main reason why you really want to do that?
It's just the capacity that they are able to function.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been a like, my mates know me. I love to train.
Yeah.
I don't train for just the purpose of looking good. I say this to my mates. It's a side effect.
Yeah.
The way you train, the way you look after your body is a side effect. Your body will just look as it is because you're working it the right way.
Yeah.
You know, you're training the right things and doing the things that is ideal for your body, because different body types are different. You know, and for me, I've always done the things that my body accepts.
Yeah.
I don't see something on social media, I'll try that because for the sake of just trying it. For fun.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I'll do it, but then I don't incorporate it in my programs because my body works differently to some other people. But as a runner's background, I love engine work. I love, at 113 kgs, you know, I can shift my body weight. I can run. I love running because, you know, it's my nature.
Yeah.
You know, at the moment, you know, I haven't done a lot just because of my knee injury, but it's a gradual process. I started off a mile. You know, I'll cover a mile 3 times a week, then I'll progress to a mile and a half. Now I can do 5 miles sprint without coming back, without any niggles to my body, because I've got my body to a position now where I can just run and recover.
Yeah.
And that's doing my prehab, my rehab, my mobility, post and pre and post running. So CrossFit came about because, like, when it first came out in 2006, you know, I watched the documentary on TV, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is exciting. So when I first watched it, 3 days later I was in the gym trying to, you know, I knew how to snatch, I knew to clean, I knew how to do a burpee, chin-ups and all these things. So I implemented it 3 days later, and I was like, holy shit, this is good.
Yeah.
So I started inviting my friends, and I'm like, you know, my gym goers, like, you want to try this new workout? And they're like this, yeah, okay. Some of them couldn't function after that 3 days later. They're like, holy shit. But then CrossFit then was, you know,
not known.
Was looked down.
Yeah,
They were like,
yeah,
what the
yeah.
fuck is this?
Yeah.
But now it's just like optimal. Like, I'm intrigued. But people watch it every day. I know people that go on YouTube to watch every CrossFit under the sun. But for me, because I want to compete, I stay away from it at the moment, because if I keep watching it, I want to go and do it straight off the back of it. So for me, it's just focusing on, first of all, my lifts, my skill work.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to be shifting. It's as 113 kgs doing handstands. It's quite hard.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to get your body ready for it. Doing muscle up is a lot of weight to shift. You know, and to be 6'3" is you know, I don't have the factors for a CrossFit. You know, you have to be under 6 foot. You have to be, you know, under 100 kgs. So it's not an excuse. But for me, as my goal, I will have to put my body through the test anyway. And hopefully next year I'll be ready for that.
It sounds like an epic challenge.
Yeah, it is like, you know, you cannot just, like I say, I don't like training for the sake of just training.
Yeah.
I want to train to perform. I want to train to be able to do something.
Yeah.
If I want to run, right, I'll train and run. Or, you know, I want to train to be able to perform. But because of my knee, that's, you know, stopping me from a lot of things. You know, I would have loved to come off rugby without an injury, gone into boxing or, you know, or wrestling, because I you know, I've always loved those things. But because of my knee, I'm not capable of doing those things. Anything laterally, it collapses. So it's taken me 2 years to get my knees nice and strong, solid, to do anything linear, lateral, you know, dynamic, rotation. And I'm happy with where I'm at the moment, but it's not going to stop here because I've got a bigger goal next year. So, it's just like I said, I'm learning every day. I'm going to courses about movements. It might be boring, but the end road is my end goal. Like, it'll help me along the way. I used to do mobility. 5 minutes of mobility back then was so boring. I gave up. But in time, I understood the benefit of it. And now I go to the gym. It takes me 3 hours. Not 3 hours of lifting. It takes me between 45 minutes and just probably, I say under an hour to get my body right. So that's pre-head and mobility from head to toe. You know what I'm saying? When I'm ready, I get under the bar, I'm ready to go. If I get under the bar and I'm not ready, I'll give myself another 10, 15 minutes. And if not, I call the day altogether. That's it.
Yeah.
So, my end goal is competing next year. Fingers crossed, nothing stops me from getting there. But
Mate, it sounds epic. Best of luck.
Thank you.
I hope it goes well. What an epic challenge.
Thank you.
It's funny, some of the things you mentioned, I was kind of giggling to myself because I'm 35. I used to play lots of rugby when I was younger, but again, I stopped playing because of injuries.
Yeah.
Not quite to the level you played, but I loved it. And I found that the older I got, I had more things in life getting in the way. So the old training session gets missed, the gym sessions get cut shorter.
Yeah.
You miss out all the important things. Well, you might not realise they're important at the time, but you do when it's too late. And I think when you get older and you are still training hard and you're competing, it's definitely more of a marathon than a sprint to achieve
100%.
your goals.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just get in your own way and it just goes wrong.
Yeah.
And as you know, I work with a lot of youth athletes in many different sports at the moment, and all they want to do is race to the finish line. They want to
100%.
race to lift as much weight as they
Just want
can,
to get big, yeah.
look as big and good as possible. I spend most of my time with them saying to them, slow down. It's a long-term process.
Yeah.
You need to do this and this first, then you can move on.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I never really had that advice when I was younger.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
I think to be honest, like even now, trying to educate some kids, it's still hard because what they see on social media is very deceiving.
Yeah.
I've had athletes that, that I've trained and they come back to me and say, oh, my mate's just squatted this, my mate's just benched this. And I was like, and? What are you meant to do about it? They were like this. But I feel like I'm struggling. I was like, okay, how's your skill work? How's your passing? How's your offloading? How's your footwork? How's your contact situation? Can he last 80 minutes? No, you can. He won't last long. Okay, he will start getting injuries because what? He's not focusing on his mobility. He's focusing just on getting strong, big, what people see. But he's not going to last 80 minutes. For you, you're only young. You're only 17, 18 or 16. You have a long road ahead of you.
Yeah.
Take care of your vessel. Your body's your vessel. You break it, it's going to be hard trying to rehab it back. Yeah. Some of them don't listen. Yeah. And you know what?
Until it's too late.
It's too late, yeah. And you get their parents saying, oh, my son's hurt himself. Okay, right. What did he do last week? Oh, they were in the gym 3 times last week. Why was he in the gym when he was supposed to have a deloading week? Oh, no, he didn't. No, wait. He can't just go into the gym with his friends and his friends are doing silly squats and silly bench and he's just sitting there. Of course he'll be involved. Peer pressure. And it's like, yeah. So that's why he's injured. Okay, we've done a good process of getting him ready to give him a week off, and yet he's gone and done silly things.
Anyway.
But kids being kids,
you
know what I'm saying? And most of them come to me and they were like, oh, I need a program. I wanna put on this kg. And I'm like, what's the reason behind it? Why do you want to put 5 kgs of muscle mass? What's the reason behind it? And they'll be like, I want to look big on the field. Take into consideration, okay, your passing isn't that good. Your footwork is slow. So, looking big is important, or footwork and your passing and your skill set. And they'll be like, yes. Simple. Okay? Getting big is not an issue. Learning the skill is an issue.
Yeah.
People, some kids come to me cannot pass it all, you know. And I was like, so what have you been doing? I've just been hitting the gym. Okay, what about your fitness? No, I don't really do fitness. Oh my goodness. When you tell them to stop running, they hate running.
Yeah.
And I was like, running is probably 80% of the rugby game.
Yeah.
You run 80 minutes. And being big on the field does nothing really.
Well, if anything, it's probably going to make it harder for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get away more
Yeah.
unnecessarily.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to make you. Well, it will make you more likely to get hurt.
Yeah, and you know, they don't understand, like, as a professional rugby player, you will get flogged when you start signing that contract.
Yeah.
You've signed your life away to the club, and that's, you know, depending on their type of periodization and their loading, you will put on the weight. They will make you big. They will make you fast. They will make you strong. And you've wished you had all the rest you had when you were young.
Yeah.
All the time off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Practicing your skill. Because when you're in, you know, I'd say premiership level, and your skill set is shit, you will look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And you wish you had practiced your skill set. You know what I'm saying?
And if your skill set's not up to par, your career's not going to last long, is it?
No, and it's, you know, and now, when I first came to the English system, it is about this. It's about how hard and how hard you can run and hit. It's just one dimension. You know, there's no, don't worry about footwork, just run, take 2 boys in, and then we'll do the rest. Well, not necessarily. It's evolved now. Okay, bigger boys are shifting left, right, and center. You see them. Everyone has footwork. You know, it's kind of like there's no, how do you say, body to body. There's no, oh, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you. Can you tackle me? No. It's about creating the space. It's about scoring the tries. It's about not being tackled. It's about getting the gain line. You know what I'm saying? And you know, saying that, like, one thing that pisses me off as well is how people sell generic programs. Like, here's a program for a kid, there you go, do it. Oh, what? Do squats, do deadlifts, that's it. Well, rugby is a movement sport. You don't just run one direction. You know, you hop, you skip, you jump, you know, you backpedal, you roll, you get up. It's not just squatting and benching and deadlifts. Yes, it's fundamental for pre-season, but there's other things you have to do. You know, your shuttle runs, your explosive work, everything that involves with moving, which kids needs to start doing. And when kids come to me, I want a generic program. I don't recommend a generic program because I don't know how your body moves, how your body works. Yeah. But yeah, there's some people just like, yeah, there you go. And it's a business after all. Yeah, of course, 100%. But for me as an ex-professional rugby player, I'm so conscious about the body. Because if a kid hurts himself, that's his career gone. His future done. Yeah. But then it's simple as that. There you go. There's a paper. Give me my money. Happy days. Which is a bit annoying because, you know, I've had a lot of consultations and parents want it.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't get it like that.
No.
And they go searching for someone else. And I still follow them. And most of the kids are down the line 3 months. Broken leg, ACL, shoulder up. You know, and in my head it's like, you know what? I can do the best as I can. I can just give them the best idea. If they want to take it, take it. If they don't want to take it, fine. There's no shortcuts. There's no easy way. No. You know, you put in the hard work, you put in the patience, you will get there. And that's looking after your body, taking care of your nutrition, doing your rehab, your prehab, your mobility, and understanding rugby. Rugby isn't weightlifting. Rugby isn't CrossFit. Rugby isn't basketball. Okay, it's all different. But kids need to understand that. But I just feel like social media at the moment is just giving the wrong information.
It doesn't help, does it?
No.
Especially now, it's all the young people seem to do.
Yeah.
Eye posture.
Yeah.
iPhones, iPads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Etc. Etc. All look like bananas.
It's you know, it's annoying, but you know, if I get a message randomly on Instagram, a kid says, "Oh, you know, I've been playing for 2 years. I see no progress. What should I do to help myself accelerate and get better at rugby?" I was like, first of all, the most important thing is your fitness. You get your fitness up, your brain is healthier, your awareness is brighter. Yeah. You know, your hand-eye coordination is at a good point. if you're unfit, everything is lethargic, everything slows down. Of course, your catching, your passing will slow down.
Yeah.
So you focus on your fitness, you work on your nutrition. Don't worry about getting strong. It will come. Once you've got the fundamentals, first you have to learn how to, like people say, you have to like crawl, to walk, to run. Do the basics, and the basics is your fitness and your skill work. Getting big is not a problem. You can get big in 3 months, but a skill work, learning how to catch, pass, footwork, evade a tackle, make a tackle, all these things is the most important thing. Get that right, everything else will fall in place.
No, I agree.
So
I mean, it's a multi-dimensional fitness, isn't it? Multi-movement, multi-direction.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming back to what you said earlier. Like now that I'm older, I like to have more of a multi-dimensional fitness plan for myself because it's what my body needs.
Yeah.
So I don't do one thing and sacrifice another. It moans, it talks to me, and it's not happy.
Yeah.
So I have to do strength, have to do some form of conditioning, have to do some form of mobility. Has to happen, otherwise.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Something else isn't happy.
Yeah.
Same approach with this, and this is what I try to say to all of the athletes I work with is you have to build that complete puzzle. Yeah?
Yeah.
You can't miss pieces out because you won't see the picture otherwise. And all they're interested in is putting the edges on. They think it's going to be enough.
Yeah.
But they quickly learn, I think, when it goes wrong, that isn't right.
Yeah. I think it's just like kids will be kids, peer pressure as well. Like, they see a talented kid and they're like, I want to be like him.
Yeah.
As fast as I can. Without paying attention to the details, how to get there. Like, it all starts with that person.
Yeah.
Because I see that rugby is a very, it's a, private school, like sport. It's a, it's a wealthy man's sport. And from my experience, a lot of kids have the support of the parents. No matter what level you are in, the parents support the kids. You go other places, you go back to islands, most of us kids don't get this support because financially we don't have the money. But for these kids, they have everything. You want 3 rugby pairs, boots, your parents get you. 3 trainers, they get you. A new jersey, a new training top every day, they will get you that because they support you, because they want you to be better. And that's the most important thing, They worry about the things that isn't important. They worry, like I said, being big, biceps, good abs, big chest, big quads. Yeah, but when you get hit by a smaller person, would you be able to take the hit? You know what I'm saying? And they need to just focus on them being a better player than the person that's better than them. Because end of the day, if they pay attention to themselves and pay attention to the details, they have a good path of making a pro contract.
Yeah.
If they deviate from that and start trying to compare themselves to another athlete, they will be second best.
Yeah.
So, you can say, oh, he's a big player, he's very talented, but you can be better than that person if you pay attention to yourself and do everything right.
It's so important to have an individual path, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you try and follow someone else or go down a road that isn't for you, it's not going to work. Well, it might work, but it might not last long. But it's not going to be as good as creating an individualised program for you, for your body, for what you need.
Yeah.
It's funny you should mention about being big and taking a hit, because I don't know if you've seen it. I saw something on YouTube the other day about a bodybuilder trying rugby.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
It didn't end well.
No,
because he couldn't move.
Yeah.
It was all linear movement, and he was a big guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of the way. he couldn't express much power.
There's no rotation. There's there's no flexibility through the the main thing is in rugby is your midsection, your torso, your lower back, your core has to be on perfect form, because it's a separation between your upper body and your lower body, and it turns in both rotation, different planes, and if you're not able to train those, your body moving in different angles, different planes, different rotations, you're prone to getting injuries, because on wet conditions here, if your feet is, because of the studs, if it's stuck on that mud and you're getting tackled from the top, and that body doesn't your feet doesn't react of getting off and moving, ankles, ACLs, hips, so it's understanding that rugby is a developing game. It is getting, the boys nowadays are getting bigger, faster, stronger. The height doesn't matter anymore. Small boys are hitting hard. They're running fast. They're it's not like before. Pick on the smallest kid when I started playing in Worcester, playing in 8. Pick at 10 because they won't tackle you. Well, of course they won't tackle you, because back then there was just like run at the weakest person, run at 10, run at 10. Now you run at 10, what happens? You get hit hard. You know what I'm saying? You get hit hard.
Well, I mean, you've seen it in the last couple of weeks, haven't you? Like, just the physicality in the World Cup, just that ultimate level of fitness and robustness that everyone has. No matter what position. Mate, I could talk about this for hours. I just wanted to ask a couple more questions. So obviously, you've had an extensive career and a lot of experience in rugby. Are there any influences or role models you've had?
That's actually a hard question. So basically, the reason I got into rugby was because of my parents.
Right.
Most people don't know this, but so I was adopted from a very young age, and I was privileged, I was blessed, I was grateful to my parents, to my adoptive parents who gave me the privilege to be able to play rugby. My parents worked 2 jobs to be able to get me rugby boots. My dad somehow played rugby, but amateur, but didn't make provincial rugby, so somehow he was passionate about the sport. So he kind of raised me up to be a rugby player. So it's the mental state of it. It's just 6 o'clock in the morning, waking me up to go for a run, and just basically helping me, in the afternoons, catching, passing, running, tackling, and all these things, So it's just, for me, I kind of succeeded because I wanted it more, and with the help of my parents, they got me there, no matter how much it cost. Even though, they couldn't afford it, they found ways to get me through it. So they were the most, influential people in my life growing up, and I'm grateful to them. And I'm, as much as they're a headache to me now, I'm still grateful for that, for my parents, because as a Christian, it's in this world, in this earth, you have only one God, and it's your parents. So growing up on this earth as a human being, your God is your parents. Yes, there's a higher being, and all these things with Christian, but if you respect your parents, everything else will fall in place. Yeah. So for me, growing up, I was grateful for that. And they got me too. They've always encouraged me. Sometimes I try to, hang out with my mates at night. They were like, "You got rugby in the morning, go to bed." And my dad was strict because he was in the military. Yeah. If I disrespected him, I know what was coming in my head. There's a fist to the head as an islander, or a stick to the back. You know what I'm saying? But it's, people might say it's abuse. It's not abuse. It's just how us islanders were taught. Sure. You respect me as a dad. I pay your bills. I put you over this roof over your head. So if you're in my house, you do what I say. So, you know, in kind of way, that's what brought me this far. In rugby, I'd say, you know, just the likes of when I was coming through the ranks at 23, I was like, you know, Johnny Wilkinson, just the way he carried himself. You know, this was even before they, you know, won the World Cup. You know, I was, you know, we watched the Six Nations. I was like, who is this small guy that puts his body on the line? Yeah. For a small guy, you know, you don't want to run off that left shoulder because he hits hard. And I was like, for a small guy, he can hit. So I kind of like respected him, and I'm thinking, if he's smart and he can make it into international rugby, I'm the most less talented kid. I can make it through rugby. So it's kind of like a motivation for me. So I kind of like looked up to him, and then to eventually get to play against him. When I was with Worcester, played against him when he was with Newcastle. I was like, you know, it's a dream. Like, how am I playing against someone that I grew up just like, you know, like anything. It's like, because I was playing 10 as well growing up, and I was like, Johnny Wilkinson, you know. So he got me to, you know, understanding that you don't have to be small. Unless you have the mindset and the work ethic, you will get it. You will get there, no matter what. You might have hurdles on the way. People might tell you that you shouldn't be a rugby player, but if you have the mindset for it and you're chasing dreams, don't stop. Just go for it. So he was, you know, that part of rugby, just the mindset, getting me through it. And just, you know, my circle of friends is probably my last, you know, group of influences, because I've had shit times, you know, when I was playing rugby. You know, when you're on the bench and you know you should be starting, you lose track of things. You'd be like, I've trained so hard for this. I've worked my ass off. I do my extra sessions. I go in, you know, I go do my extra tackling. I work on my footwork and everything else. And selection day, I get dropped just because there's an older player. You know, he's probably 6 years older than you. He's got more experience, and you'd be like, "This is absolutely a piece steak." And people get that still now. It's just how things work. And I used to be like, I'm going to the pub. I'm going to have a drink. You know, one drink leads to 5, 6, 7, 8, and you got team run the next day. And thankful to my friends, they were like, "Why don't you take this as a rest day, your rest week? You know, your body will recover. You will, you know, you'll be fresher next week." But I didn't think of the process that way because I was so young. I just wanted to play because I've trained so hard, and to be put on the bench, it's just like, why? You know. So I'm grateful to my friends, and you know, I don't have a big circle of friends, but I'm grateful, you know, that they're always there saying, you know what, look on the bright side, your body's resting, and you know what, the next week I get selected, I play the best rugby of my life, you know, because I'm fit, I'm focused, and it's just like the small things trying to deviate from the goal. Like I said, we have stumbling blocks, you know, and you know, which affects you mentally as well. Being away from home as well, because I don't have any family in the UK at all. Even when I was playing rugby, all my family lived Southern Hemisphere. It was kind of like hard for me to like come home, you know, even upset one day, or just having my mum or dad there, or my brother or sister, or you know, my kids saying, everything will be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. It's just another day. Tomorrow is another new day. I didn't have that, so you know, living alone was hard because the first thing you need to do is, right, I'll go and have a drink, you know, and it just doesn't make things better. It only goes worse. So when you realize this, that alcohol is a process that doesn't help you for the time, for the time you're consuming it, you're in the best place in your head, but the day after it just gets worse. So I'm grateful to my friends. my parents, and the small man Johnny Wilkinson. Really,
Mate, what an epic answer, and I completely relate to that. I'm very close to my parents too. Like Johnny Wilson was my idols growing up, and I mean the hurdles he's had in his career, and the injuries he's had, and the length of time he's played for, and just how professional he's kind of carried himself.
And a very how do you say it? What's the word for it?
Is it humble?
Humble person.
Yeah.
Humble person.
Yeah.
When I was in Harlequins, that was 3 years ago. He came for a kicking session with one of the boys, and he was just in trackies. And I walked past him. I didn't recognise him, and I turned and said, "Hey, Wilco," because we played together quite a few times with Worcester and Newcastle. And he turned and said, "Mate, if you walk past the street, I wouldn't have recognised him, but because it was in a rugby environment, I was like, that's Johnny Wilco." So he's a very humble person, and I think he has a lot of time for people, which is a good thing.
It's rare.
Yeah,
especially someone like him.
Yeah, who's won a World Cup, and what is he? MBE as well.
I think so, possibly OBE.
Okay,
I need to check that.
Yeah. So even to have status like that, to be grounded and just just a normal person, it's just amazing, because in your head, sometimes rugby can get to people's head.
What you said about that inner network or that inner circle of family and friends, it goes without saying that it's one of the most powerful things in life.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of the time, mate. I promised I'd keep you for an hour, so we've got just under 10 minutes left. Just wanted to ask you a couple more questions, a bit more specific about sports science and strength and conditioning. What would you say, in your rugby career, with all the positions you played, what would you say that your top sport performance exercises and drills were? If you could pick maybe 3 go-to drills or exercises or movements that kept you at the peak of your fitness, are there any that spring to mind?
The first for me is a power hankling.
Right.
And I've done it from when I was probably 24. So my first experience was with Vince Kelly, who was so he's Queensland Reds. He was with Waratahs. He was a Fiji's strength conditioner, and he was just like, for you, just work on your explosive power, because for me I was a long distance runner. Everything was quite slow for me, so he's just like, we need to speed things up, work on your fast twitch as well. So for me, that has helped my rugby career a lot, is my hankling power snatches. Bench is my second one. Why bench for me is because the contact. When you run into the contact, having a stronger upper body gives you more percentages going forward than backwards. And I think my third one is just basically your core area, lower back and core.
Right.
The real focus is because that's your engine. That's where your capacity of running, your fitness, and understanding how your lower back and core is probably the main function of your body. It holds your body together.
Yeah.
And if you have that strong, everything else falls in place. So for me, doing not so crunches, but high planks, working the inner core rather than the out. It's not about looking good, it's about feeling good, and having a stronger base. Having a stronger core will help you, have a good technique in tackling, stronger attacking and defense. Basically, keeps you in a good tight position. Yeah. And one thing as well that core has taught me is breathing. Is finding a breathing technique, a breathing flow that will benefit me. So, for me, growing up and evolving as a player, it was hang clean, bench, and basically just lots of like inner core work and lower back work.
Amazing. That's really awesome insights. I'm a huge fan, as we spoke to when we first met on the level 4 S&C course, about the power of being in a hang position.
Yeah.
For athletes who usually spend most of their time in that position, needing to move out of it quickly.
Yeah.
Such a good exercise.
Yeah, it's just because like you're engaging like your hamstrings, your lower back, your glutes, your core as well, and I think it goes all the way up, all the way to your shoulders as well, and your neck as well, because you have to keep it really tight. If as soon as you disengage, the whole posture goes into shit basically. Yeah. And you know what, you can do, some a lot of my friends like isolation work, some RDLs, some hamstring stuff, some the Nordics. For me, I feel like hang snatches brings all that together. Don't have to be doing a lot of isolation work, where it engages the whole, your posterior more. More than than trying to do individual, isometric and bilateral stuff. So I think for me as a person, and following a lot of NFL strength and conditioners, they all speak of the same thing. The bigger you are, hang clean focuses on your posterior more, because you might have a heavier upper body, and that pulls you backwards, or gives you an arch to your back. But with this position, it doesn't just make you strong, but it makes you fast, strong, explosive, powerful as well. So and I think I'm in love with it.
It's hang snatch is I'm not just saying this because you've said it, but I said this on the first ever episode of the podcast. My favourite exercise. Yeah. Because you've got an explosive movement. You've got overhead squat in there at some point. So all of your major joints in your body, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists, to a certain extent the neck, all being hit with one movement.
I agree. Yeah.
It's quality.
Yeah. And I think it needs to be incorporated more. Yeah. There's a lot of rugby training at the moment which is strongman, which is good for pre-season. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, rugby is a movement game. Yeah. Your body needs to be moving in multi directions. Like, you have to be able to jump, not just vertically and linear, laterally. You have to be able to shift your weight and stop your weight. Especially like accelerating and decelerating. All these things. If you can shift your body, then you're in a good starting position.
Love it. Awesome. So, last question. If you could think of the top pieces of advice that you would give either yourself, or the younger you, or a young aspiring rugby player, based on everything you've experienced and gone through, what would those pieces of advice be?
I think the most important thing for me is you have to have a component of selfishness when you're trying to become an athlete, not to the full extent, because for me I was a very selfish athlete. It was all about my goals, it was all about my training, it was all about I want to achieve that and I'm going to achieve it, and that means if I have to cut my friends for the weekend, I'm doing that so I can sleep and train to get better. Kids need to understand that you need to have a little bit of selfishness component, not a lot of it, where you map your week out and say, this is me week and this is my socializing days. Because take into consideration, everyone needs a social life. But if you have a bigger goal, you have to have a balance in life. So don't be too selfish. It's never about you, because rugby is a sport. It's a group sport. It's a team sport. Try and keep yourself as busy as possible. If it means going out for golf with your mates, go out to the cinema, fine. Going out for like a meal, yes. And I was unfortunate that I wasn't able to learn, and as I was an athlete, because I had all the time to learn, but because I was so selfish, I wanted things. I wanted to be the best player. I wanted to be the best player of the day. I wanted to, stand out, and that was my focus. And then it just kind of like kept with me, but it was a bit too late for me to. When I was in like 28, 29, it was too late for me to start thinking, I need to start learning new things, because then my body was starting to shut down and break down. Yeah. So I had to pay more attention to it. So I had to give it more time. Whereas when I was young, I had all the time. So for young kids coming up is find something that you will love doing after rugby. And as an athlete, I'd say you want to do something within sports. Personal training, strength and conditioning, rugby coach, soccer coach, basketball coach, whatever sport you're in. Start, finding ways that will help you do these things post your career. Yeah. Some boys, from my experience, I know a few friends who who work up in London in the offices and now wanting to come back into sports and fitness because, your life was all about the sports. So why not take up something? It doesn't have to, I've played rugby 14 years, I have to go into rugby. No, you can go into basketball, you can go into, because you've played in a team environment, you have all the capabilities and the components to be a better coach because you've learned all these fundamentals of coaching. So as kids coming up, I'd say just don't focus on yourself too much. Yeah. Okay. Have a little bit of component of selfishness, whereas you want to achieve things, and peer pressure will deviate you from that. But if you're selfish, you'll be like, no, I'm having an early night tonight because I've got a big game tomorrow. Yeah. But everyone has a stumbling block. Sure. Once in a while, you will have to have the stumbling block to put you back on track. And I was fortunate enough that stumbling blocks didn't get me injured, didn't get me to a bad place. It got me to a place where I'm like, okay, reset, refocus, let's go again. So I think just for kids, it's just like enjoy the game. Think about working on the fundamentals, fitness, your skills, your hand-eye coordination, your visuals. Don't worry about getting strong and big, because when you sign a contract, that will happen. They will make you do a long pre-season, and that's like 8 weeks of lifting heavy shit. To a point where you'll be like, I don't want to be lifting heavy shit today. Well, unfortunately, you have to lift heavy shit because you've signed a contract. And you have to do a lot of running because you've signed the contract. If not, you can pack your bags and find something else to do. Yeah. So, and kids just enjoy rugby. Yeah. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try and be someone who you're not. If someone's got a good offload, practice it, but don't get upset if you cannot do an offload. Everything will fall. Everything will come together.
What an awesome answer, and what awesome advice. Mate, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure,
It's
mate.
been awesome having you on, and it's great to catch up with you.
Thank you
for ages. If people wanted to get in touch with you,
yeah,
what's the best way of them doing that?
My Instagram, it's the Game Line Doctor, or I run a studio here in Flow. It's a BJJ, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Got a functional space here. I do all my strength and conditioning, personal training. Yeah, so that, and you can find my details on my Instagram as well. My email address, my phone number. Sweet. And saying that it's like I said, it's also I've had a few randoms call me up because it's mental health week. I've been through it all. I've done it all. Like I've been through the gutters. I've been through hell and back, and I know what it's like to think that you're not wanted. Even like living away from the family for like all these years. I don't have any family here. I rely on because I'm Christian, I rely on God and friends to carry me on. And you know what? I'm always ears if anyone wants to just pick up the phone and call and talk, or pop down here for a coffee in Wandsworth anytime, so feel free.
Thank you. No, that's really kind. And,
my pleasure, man.
And awesome of you to say. I'll make sure I put the links to everything in the show notes of the podcast so people can log on and contact you directly.
Perfect, yeah.
But just thanks again, mate, and all the best.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the 21st episode. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please leave us a rating and or review on whichever platform you're listening on. Please check out our website, www.extremesportsperformance.com. On our media page, we have weekly blogs that include Thought of the Week, Exercise of the Week, Recipe of the Week, and Training Song of the Week. Each month's collection gets compiled into our monthly newsletter along with company service and store updates. You can sign up for free to receive this via our subscribe page. Our online store consists of training programs, online and in-person coaching, nutrition plans, toolbox, and interactive training systems. Please follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Links to these can be found at the bottom of every page on our website or via any search engine. That's all for now. Until next time, take care.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.